Hi, I'm Sarah,
I'm Lisa.
and we are the co-creators of SLP Toolkit. And we are using this YouTube channel as just a way to talk about school-based issues or just things on our mind, and sometimes just to show you a little bit of our personality. What do you want to talk about today, Lisa?
Well, we did just write that blog post on how to get the R sound in, which I know is everyone's favorite to work on.
Yes, I love it. When I get a new kid on my caseload with an R sound, I have a little mini party. I just get so excited. No, it's a tough sound. And in fact, it's usually actually the opposite. I see the kid with the R and I think, oh, he doesn't really need speech. He's fine.
It's kind of like those social kids.
Yeah.
They're like, no, they don't really need speech.
They're fine.
The ones with behaviors, no.
No,
We need to work with them.
I just really like the kids with concrete goals that I can target very simply.
Plus and minus all the way.
Yeah. No, but we have to treat the R kids. It clearly is one of those sounds that makes a significant impact. It's very noticeable in all oral language activities, which is usually how I qualify. We have to always make that educational relevant statement, and it is a sound I think is really confusing to a listener. So it is a sound we definitely need to be targeting, but it's not easy. But this one is an expert.
Sort of, not really. I don't think an expert is the right term. I just got super frustrated. So when I first came to an elementary setting and inherited a bunch of students that were working on R, and then they would come into my speech sessions and they couldn't produce it even though they had been working on the sound for a couple of years. It frustrated me, frustrated them. Mm-hmm. I get a whole session of data that was just
Yeah. Yeah. No, like this. Do it like this.
Yeah,
Lisa.
wait, try this.
Try that. No, like this. Listen. Right. That's how therapy goes for a year.
And then the therapist before you has said that they do it with 70% accuracy.
Love that.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah. Can't even get the kid to do one R and that kid's ready to graduate.
So for me, what it boiled down to is I hate in any aspect of my life feeling like I can't do something or feeling frustrated, and to me it became a problem to solve. So my first step was to do a little research and also get my hands on some materials. So I bought a couple of books, and I felt like they focused more on just the different types of R's and some different things you could do, but they really didn't help me with my treatment so much. And I kind of had this aha moment at one point where I thought the reason why R is so difficult is because you can't see it. It's in the back of the mouth. Right. It's not like a super visual sound like a TH where you can just tell a student, bite your tongue and blow, and they can see it. Right. It makes sense to them. So between that and then also it was pretty complex. It doesn't involve a lot of the articulators. The tongue is doing most of the work. You can't really see what the tongue's doing. So we have to take a lot of steps and break it down into steps that are understandable for the student. So that's what I did. And I came up with some very specific strategic cues that seemed to work really well with my students. I had, with all of the students on my caseload, I was able to get it in with a lot of them, even in the first session. And the longest it ever took was, I think, 6 weeks with one student. She kind of had low motivation in general in aspects to her education, and she had some other things going on, but we did finally even get it in with her. I found that it wasn't really successful for those students that were younger than about second or third grade. I actually had one student that I tried to bring in first grade just as a test to see how it worked with her, and she was gifted, and she was kind of silly. She just didn't take it seriously and didn't follow the steps. And I brought that same student in third grade, and she got it on the first try, and she was out of speech in 4 weeks.
Well, and you make a good point there, because I think that's one of the things, either whether we hear from the teachers or the parents, they're all a little bit baffled as to why we would wait until a child's 8 years old, typically third grade, before we'd start treating this sound. And part of me used to question that a little bit too. Obviously we want to target skills. We believe in early intervention. It works. And so why would we not want to try to nip this in the bud before this kid's been producing it that way for 8 years? But that's the case. The argument I always make for that case is cognitively, they're not usually ready. And it is a developmental sound. I had it, my own daughter couldn't say her R's and was able to fix it all on her own. I actually did no good in helping her correct that sound. And one day I just noticed she wasn't doing it anymore. So in some cases, the child will outgrow it. And so I think that the age makes sense as far as when you need to actually start doing some specialized instruction. They're just not ready before then.
And really stick with it. I actually was just called out to a junior high a couple of weeks ago to help an SLP that I support in my school district with a group of boys. And there are 3 boys that they have been working on R since elementary school. You could tell just really super frustrated with the process. And I came out, worked with them on some cueing, and 2 of those 3 boys got it that day. And one of them, it was so funny because we got him in front of the mirror and worked on some cueing with him, and he said it in his face. He was just like what? I can do this? And so It was really awesome. I think sometimes with our older students, we tend to think, they're in junior high. If they haven't gotten our tick yet, let's get them off. But work with them. I think it's more about just helping them see the relevance that you're trying something different, and they can be successful with it, and just try it in a different way, and it'll work for them.
Yeah, and I like that point you just made too about I do think we tend to dismiss kids when we say that they're not motivated. I'm guilty of that. There's been a few kids where they just didn't really care about the way that they were producing the sound, and they weren't highly motivated to work on it. And so after a while, it's like, why would I continue to pull this child out of class when he's really not willing to put in the effort it's going to require to fix it? And so then you do kind of make that case of, well, maybe it's time for him to be dismissed and graduate. And so I love that you said that. It's our job to not convince, maybe not the right word, but to really get them to see that it is important, it is something worthwhile to fix, and to find what their motivation is.
Well, and they need to see progress. The analogy that I always use too is if you had been in the gym every day for 4 years and didn't lose a single pound or see a single difference in your body, would you still want to go to the gym?
Right.
I don't think so. So I would just say, if you feel like you get stuck on anything, and this just is an articulation, but use your resources. We're so connected now. If you are in a district that you have supports built in, like a lead SLP or other SLPs that you can network with, then that's great. But even if you're in a rural area, there's the internet. We have so many resources available. You can ask questions to the Facebook community, you can look for ideas on Pinterest, you can look for resources in many different ways. So don't give up on that student. Let them know that you believe in them and that there's some different tricks in your bag, and if they are just patient with you, that you'll figure it out together.